The Edge at 11 starts now.
Tonight on The Edge, cannabis could be easier to come by in the city of Warren.
The city council has voted to allow recreational marijuana shops to open, sparking concern for some residents. Fox News' Lauren Edwards explains why they're upset about the plans for pot.
I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
No.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
So I'm going to have a little preamble here. This conversation has turned into...
We're not at discussion.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Noonan?
All right.
Yes
Just
or
no.
No. Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries 5-2.
Warren City Council voting to allow for unlimited recreational cannabis operations to one day open in the city. A few weeks ago on March 11th, the City Council voted unanimously in favor during the first reading. Tuesday night was the second and final reading, which Council member Jonathan Lafferty told Fox 2 in a previous interview it, quote, establishes an unlimited number of recreational marijuana operations, but limited by zoning restrictions. The restrictions, he says, include an operation cannot be located within 1,000 feet of a school and within 500 feet of a neighborhood and religious establishment. The attorney, Jeff Schroeder, stated in the meeting that anyone who applies for a license has to abide by the zoning restrictions, but many residents in the crowd were not having it.
You don't see other more upscale communities approving unlimited facilities in their communities, and there's a reason for that. I think it draws crowds that we don't really want in our community.
I don't support it. As a nurse, I've said before that it's not a harmless drug, and we are allowing more and more of that into the community.
Me personally, I can't stand this stuff, and like I said, if it's not for a serious medical condition, if you're a pothead, you should be in prison as far as I'm concerned.
We're already inundated with grow operations. You can't drive out of my neighborhood without getting smacked in the mouth with marijuana. And who's going to enforce this? Realistically, I know what you said. These guys back here are getting their tails handed to them on a daily basis, just run after run after run because we don't have enough. And then we're going to put in more things that need policing.
Again, a point of contention during the meeting was the word unlimited. What does it mean? Does it mean it's going to pop up on every shop? That's what many of the residents were saying, but the city council saying that's not what it is. You will not see one at the end of every block. There are still regulations and restrictions that have to be abided by. Fox 2 will stay on the story and give you guys updates as we get them. Reporting here in Warren, Lauren Edwards on The Edge.
Well, from helping Detroit out of bankruptcy to bringing the city back to its roots, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan has had a lot on his plate ever since he took over in 2014. As he sets his sights on becoming Michigan's governor, he still has high hopes for Detroit's future. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin takes a closer look at Duggan's 12th and final State of the City speech.
This has been about a lot more than me. There is a whole partnership that has done this.
Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan wrapping up his final State of the City address, striking a tone of optimism for the city's future while praising the many collaborations that he says have led to historic drops in crime, big boosts in manufacturing jobs, and more investment in neighborhoods.
And the University of Michigan just found that homeowners in Detroit have gained $4.6 billion in wealth in the last 10 years. If you stuck and stayed, you got the most benefit.
All of this delivered in the first major event held at the new Hudson's Detroit building, set to house General Motors later this year after it leaves the RINSIN. Duggan doubling down on a plan to save that historic complex while knocking down 2 buildings, saying it's unrealistic to fill that empty office space.
We could save 3 of the towers. The main tower would be the hotel. And now that hotel is going to actually have a view of the water instead of the other office towers. We'll make an office tower on the right. We'll make an apartment tower on the left. We'll build 20% affordable housing.
The group Preservation Detroit, which has fought to save the RINSIN as is, with this response.
And we're really excited to see what form it takes in the future. I think as an organization, we still stand by our previous comments that this is a building of citywide, if not nationwide significance.
Meantime, Duggan went back to the beginning of his tenure, overseeing a city climbing out of bankruptcy and putting people back to work.
And so we demolished the 40-year abandoned Hudson Motor Plant and landed a new 700-employee Lear seating plant on that site. And then we took the abandoned Kettering High School site and landed a 600-employee Dakota dashboard plants for the Jeeps.
Also, for the first time in decades, the mayor says the city's population has increased, and he praised the collaboration and city council getting along, he says, for the first time in a while. Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
Let's talk about the weather. The cold does continue well into the week.
Weather Authority Rich Luderman joining us with a closer look at the forecast. Hi, Rich.
Amy, how are you? Roop, you know, a week ago we had numbers in the 70s around here. It was very spring-like last week, but then we had that colder blast come through for the end of the weekend, and it's been chilly ever since. It was chilly again today with sun and clouds and a breeze, even a few flurries out there from time to time. Notice some wet weather along the Ohio River well off to our south, but we're going to slowly turn the corner Thursday, and that'll lead to some milder air for the weekend. How about some great live shots from Chicago O'Hare? You can see a plane right there on takeoff, heading out. Beautiful night in Chicago. Cold there as well at 36 degrees. Our high today, 48. Didn't really feel like 48 with the breeze, but we did have some sunshine. 28 the morning low. Here are your averages. Look at the record, 78 on the high side, 4 way back in 1974. Right now, a lot of us are near 30 degrees, give or take. Not quite as harsh over at City Airport. There's winds are 36, but chilly. 29s for Howell and for Flint. Thankfully, the breeze is diminishing, but it's still out there from the west and northwest, adding a further chill to the air. Now, the temperature in Marquette deserves a golly. It's 18 degrees in Marquette. That's awfully cold for the end of March. 36 Chicago, 43 in Pittsburgh. There's Buffalo, New York, 33 degrees. So it does stay chilly tonight and tomorrow, even tomorrow night. But low pressure retreats into eastern Canada. It'll take the coldest of the air with it. And then here comes our next change. It's going to be dry for us Thursday, but then a warm front's going to develop and move in our direction, bringing rain chances for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For the rest of tonight, perhaps 1 or 2 flurries out there. Cold and dry for the overnight period, down to 28. Tomorrow will be much like today. Sun and clouds, still chilly with a light breeze from the north and west. And then it does turn milder for the weekend, but we will see some occasional showers for Friday and for Saturday and Sunday. We're going to give you a full check starting at 4 a.m. Roop, Amy, back to you.
All right, thank you, Rich. Well, it seems like a cold and calculated crime. An injured dog discovered in a dumpster.
It all went down this morning in an apartment complex in Ann Arbor. Fox 2's Jessica Dupnack digs into what happened.
Taking a look at this dumpster, there's no way the dog got inside by himself. He had to be dumped there. That's exactly what Ann Arbor police think happened, and they're trying to figure out who committed this crime.
I was bringing some plants out to the dumpster, opened the lid, and those 2 little eyes were staring right at me.
Cold, starved, scared, with a neglected mass on his side, buried at the bottom of a dumpster.
I think I ran around the dumpster for probably about 2 minutes screaming, help, 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 before I got the idea to just call 911.
I just started this morning at 11 o'clock, and it was the first call on the board. The caller was pretty hysterical, talking to dispatch.
Ann Arbor police officer Jen Baldwin is an evidence tech, and she sees a lot of bad stuff. Animal calls are especially tough for her. As fate would have it, she was first on scene Tuesday morning.
You see the dog, what's going through your mind?
A sigh of relief that it's at least okay.
But the dog was not in great shape. Couldn't stand up in the dumpster at the Colonial Square Co-op off Platte Road near I-94 in Ann Arbor.
The dog could not stand on its own, so we had to put it almost on a like a dog cot to lift it out of the dumpster.
Officer Baldwin says it's clear someone dumped him, and she got to canvassing, looking for video and other clues of who did this.
There's no reason to be dumping an animal, you know, a living being in a dumpster to be thrown away.
The dog, who looks to be about 10, whisked away to the Humane Society of Huron Valley, which helped with the rescue. They're nursing him back to health and taking care of that mass.
Who does something like that?
It's crazy. It's insane. It really, it made me sick. I've been crying all day.
Because the dumpster is off the main road, the theory is someone pulled in and dropped him inside, and that they don't live in the complex. This animal lover is on a mission to get justice.
Someone knows something, someone knows who that owner is, and we want to make sure that we find them.
They will find you sooner or later, but police could use a little help. If you know anything, call Ann Arbor Police right away. You can stay anonymous. Reporting in Ann Arbor, Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
There's so many other options outside of throwing a dog in the dumpster.
Horrific.
All right. Well, a Detroit woman says she doesn't feel safe in her own home.
She claims her neighbor's been threatening her for years and asked police to investigate, but she says it hasn't gone anywhere. Tanae Hankins called 911 back in July over her neighbor's alleged threats. A couple months later, she says she noticed her neighbor and an officer walking on her property. Hankins didn't know where they were or why they were there, so she filed a complaint against the officer. Well, then she filed another complaint against a high-ranking police official who she says has called her twice since then.
Contact me if you want to vent. This is inappropriate. You are not supposed to be contacting the person that filed a complaint against you.
Well, the Detroit City Council is looking into Hankins' concerns, and we also reached out to Detroit police, who say they are investigating.
Heard a big bang noise, came out, and there was a car, a whole home, kitchen, bath, everything damaged.
Really frightening moments for a Dearborn Heights family after a car crashed right into their house. It happened around 9 last night at the home near Telegraph and Warren. The homeowner, his wife, and their 3 kids were breaking their Ramadan fast when the car slammed into their home, causing a huge mess.
It's a whole kitchen destroyed, bathroom, the tub is leaking, the whole walls, the fridge, the stove, everything damaged.
Police say the driver involved was in their 70s and confused the brake with the gas pedal. The car went through the back of a Tim Hortons parking lot and right into the home. Luckily, nobody was hurt.
And an investigation in Detroit after a body is found inside an old warehouse. Police working the scene today near Holden and the Lodge. Investigators say the person may have been electrocuted while working with the building's supply, their power supply rather. We're told they were likely an independent contractor and not affiliated with DTE.
Heavy smoke coming from downriver this afternoon after a semi-truck went up in flames. We're told the truck hit a power line and caught fire in the area of Vreeland and Hall in Flat Rock. Nobody was hurt. Power was briefly knocked out to several thousand homes in the area. All of that has since been restored.